101 KUFO.
Giving you nothing but the show enough.
Portland's Rock.
And so they created something called Blutenboden. Blutenboden. It sounds like the beginning of a Def Leppard song. Und ich lieben Blutenboden. That's what it sounds like. But it's not. It's serious. Blutenboden means blood and body, or blood and soil, or blood and science, whichever you want to call it. And the science that they were basically toting in Blutenboden was actually something called fire and ice, proposed by some guy who sold refrigerators and became a scientist. He did a little presentation. It was called Der Inconvenient Truth, something like that. No, he was just presenting this idea that the earth would get hot, and then it would get cold, and then everybody would die, and something called Ragnarok would come, and it would be the end of the world. It was a Norse mythology, and they said, this is what's going to happen. This is the science. The weather's going to go hot, then it's going to go cold. It's called fire and ice. And the Blutenboden kids, well, they all were for the environment, pushing it and saying, hey, you guys got to get with the program. In fact, it got really weird. In fact, the weathermen in Germany, oh, I gave it away. The weathermen in Germany were giving forecasts for strange snow that would come out of the sky. Strange snow that didn't make snowmen. In fact, it smelled awfully familiar, like burnt hair. The reason why was because this government, yeah, I'm talking about the Nazis. This government used everything in their power to get people to feel good about themselves, and they would basically do so by creating an invisible enemy, whether it be the Jews or the communists or people who are anti-environment, and basically said, hey, look, this is the new science, this is the new program, this is a new way of getting with it. And you know what? That strange snow that's coming out of the sky, no, it's not ash from burning Jews in ovens. No, you know what that is? It's snow. Now, if anyone questions that, they're going to be put into the camps with the rest of them. So, yes, I went over some things in my head, and I got to thinking about a few things, and I got to reading the weather reports. You know, it's extremely difficult to believe in the idea of global warming when the headlines seem to show me that it doesn't exist. Now, the past week has basically crippled the United States. The weather has crippled the United States. We've got England and China and South Korea all buried in snow, the United States buried in snow. And if you go to my website at www.groundzeromedia.com, you can take a look at a map for January 10th. You can take a look at the proposed forecast, temperature-wise, for Florida, Orlando, Lakeland, Winter Haven, Melbourne, Miami-Dade County. Lakeland will be at 24 degrees. Orlando, 25 degrees. Yes, Mickey Mouse is going to be freezing his ass off. Disney World becomes Disney's Winter Wonderland. Orlando, 25 degrees. Sebring, 25 degrees. Winter Haven, 25 degrees. Melbourne, 27 degrees. Miami-Dade County sits at a nice, warm 32 degrees. Think about that. People all go to Florida. Why? Because they want to bask in the sun. Well, it's cold there. Cold temperatures dipping all the way down into Florida. Pretty weird. Have some headlines also. Peru declares state of emergency due to record-breaking cold spell. People in the mountainous regions of Peru, an equatorial nation, are dying from respiratory illnesses. Why? Because the temperatures are too cold to sustain life there. The U.S. East Coast faces deep freeze. Florida, oranges threaten. Midwest sees near-record lows, snow by the foot. Seoul, South Korea, buried in the heaviest snowfall in 70 years. Britain braced for the heaviest snowfall in 50 years. And below that, I have a picture, a satellite picture of that great island across the pond known as the UK, covered completely in snow. The heaviest snowfall in 50 years. Global warming. Think about global warming for a minute. Think about global warming. Is this global warming? Now, I know that a lot of you are going to say, but Clyde, how unfair is it for you to point out how wintry it is when it's winter in the northern hemisphere right now? That doesn't prove anything. You're just a moron. Yeah, I've heard it all. But think about this. Keep in mind, for the summer of 2009, the average temperature was 71.7 degrees. 0.4 degrees below, I'm saying below, the 20th century average. The 2008 average summer temperature was 72.7 degrees. Still relatively low. This summer was the 34th coldest summer on record. Temperatures were below normal in the Midwest, Plains, and parts of the South. There were more than 300 low-temperature records counting daily highs and lows set across states in the Midwest during the last 2 days of August. Now, is this a sign of global warming? I'm looking for some intellectual honesty here. And I'm sick and tired of reading the Oregonian. I'm sick and tired of reading newspapers who are basically cajoling me into falling for the consensus bogus notion that we are having global warming when we aren't having global warming. It's not happening. And I'm tired of people pushing it on me. And you know what else? There is no other debate in the consensus that people follow, because all you hear from people is how you are supposed to follow this global warming church. This eco-theism that they're pushing on everybody. And I'm not speaking here against global warming because I'm a Republican, because that's the first thing that people tell you. Oh, you must support George Bush. No, I don't. Then you must want to see the planet destroyed. No, I don't. I want intellectual honesty. I don't think anybody has it anymore. Not my leaders. Not when they're telling me that global warming exists when I just read you all these headlines from the paper. When I told you that Peru is now seeing people die from cold. You know, another thing, too, about global warming that really has me sussed, and I don't know why people tell me it's so bad. You know, think about this. If you go to the beach, like Southern California or Florida, when it's not in deep freeze. I can't believe I'm saying this. You go to the beach, Southern California or Florida, when it's not in 27 degrees. And you go there because you want to experience warmth. Many people love living in LA. They love living in Miami. That's where old people go when they want to retire. They live in Arizona. Why? Because the temperature is warmer. Okay? So even if global warming is real and we go up 2 degrees, what's the problem with that? I mean, I hear a lot of people living in California, a lot of people living in Arizona, a lot of people living in Florida, living in the Gulf. But you don't hear too many people wanting to move to Vostok, Antarctica. Now, do you? Yeah, look it up, Vostok. You don't hear too many people wanting to live in the Cape of Good Horn. Or Cape Horn. It's the bottom near Antarctica. But people live in Alaska, and I don't know what that's all about.